What is up, Xaliter here. Today we are going over a new build that I call Glacius. Glacius harnesses the power of frost to beat down enemies. Although this build primarily focuses on a single damage type, Glacius inflicts debuffs against enemies to weaken their frost resistance, so you don't have to worry too much even against enemies with higher frost resistances. In addition, Glacius provides decent defense with high resistances and vital stats, and good quality of life features such as high weather defense and permanent base mana regeneration. Now, let's get into the details of the build. Let's start with the core equipment. For the helmet, we want the Entomber hat enchanted with the Aegis enchantment, which will provide us with a nice amount of physical, lightning, and decay resistances along with the stamina cost reduction and movement speed bonuses. The Aegis enchantment will increase our protection. For the body armor, we want the Adventurer armor enchanted with the Spirit of Cierzo. This is a fairly average body armor with relatively average physical resistance and decent fire resistance, but the main reason for this armor is the Spirit of Cierzo enchantment, which will increase our frost and fire damage. For the boots, we want the Crimson Plate boots enchanted with the Aegis enchantment. These boots provide great defense with an above average physical and frost resistance, but the boots also provide offensive power with the frost damage bonus. The Aegis enchantment will increase protection. For our primary weapon, we want Brand, enchanted with Poltergeist. This will provide us with physical, frost, and raw damage, but the great thing about this sword is that it inflicts chill and pain, which decreases the enemy's frost damage and resistance and physical resistance respectively. For our offhand weapon, we want the Frozen Chakram, which also deals physical and frost damage, but most importantly also inflicts elemental vulnerability, which decreases the enemy's resistances to fire, frost, lightning, decay, and ethereal damage. For the backpack, I chose the Buzu Hide backpack for its corruption resist and no dodge interference. A notable alternative equipment is the Crimson Plate armor with the Aegis enchantment, which is a heavier armor with higher defenses and trades the fire resistance of the Adventure armor for frost resistance. However, because it is a heavier armor, it will come with increased stamina costs and slower movement speed as the trade-off. In addition, it will negatively impact hot weather defense. Another option is to have both the Adventure armor and the Crimson Plate armor and to alternate their use. In colder regions or regions with more frost damage enemies, you can use the Crimson Plate armor, and in warmer regions or regions with more fire damage enemies, you can use the Adventurer armor. Going on to the build's main three skill trees, we have the Cabal Hermit, Philosopher, and Warrior Monk skill trees. For the Cabal Hermit skill tree, we want the Infused Wind skill. For the Philosopher skill tree, we want the Sigil of Ice. For the Warrior Monk skill tree, we want Master of Motion and Counter-Strike. We want 3 points of mana and want to take the Blue Chamber faction quest line. Notable faction quest rewards we want are Ancestors' Memories, Blood of Giants, and the Peacemaker Elixir. One thing to look out for is that the spells associated with the Sigil of Ice are short-ranged, so enemies will need to be drawn fairly close to the sigil, and it would be difficult to fight ranged enemies with Sigil of Ice spells. For these enemies, I wouldn't bother with the Sigil of Ice. Just run up to them and beat them down with the Frozen Chakram and Brand. I had a lot of fun playing with the Glacius build. It harnesses the power of frost and debuffs to defeat enemies. If you are a beginner and looking to build your own builds, click on the info card for a video on my method on how I create builds. If you only want tools to use in planning out your builds, click on the info card for a series of build calculators that I like to use. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you later.